People think abuse starts with violence, but the worst part of my daughter's story started with the words, "Don't worry, Mom. He handled everything." This story is inspired by real-life submissions. Names and identifying details have been changed. I was folding laundry when my daughter called to tell me everything was fine. "Mom? Seriously?" Hillary said, her voice bright but tight. "James resolved everything. You don't need to worry." I pressed the phone closer. Resolved what? Exactly. The lease stuff, the bank thing, all of it. She laughed, but it didn't reach the edges. "He handled it. He's so good at this kind of paperwork." I should have felt relief. Instead, something cold settled in my chest. "Hillary, what paperwork are we talking about?" "Mom." Now her voice had that edge I'd heard before, the one that meant, "Don't push." "I'm telling you, it's done. James said I shouldn't have even mentioned it to you. You worry too much." She hung up before I could ask anything else. 3 hours later, I saw my daughter standing on the corner of Maple and 4th, holding a trash bag. I almost didn't recognize her. She was wearing the same clothes from yesterday, jeans, a sweatshirt with a coffee stain. Her hair was pulled back in a way that looked like she'd done it without a mirror. And she was just standing there, waiting, like someone had told her to stay put, and she'd forgotten why. I pulled over so fast my tires scraped the curb. "Hillary." She turned. Her face was blank for a second, like she didn't know who I was. Then her mouth opened and nothing came out. "Get in the car," I said. She did. She didn't ask where we were going. She didn't explain. She just sat there, clutching that trash bag like it was the only thing she owned. "Where's James?" I asked. "He said I needed space." Her voice was flat. "He said I was confused and needed to think." Confused about what? She didn't answer. I took her back to my place. She sat at my kitchen table and stared at the wall. I made tea she didn't drink. I asked questions she didn't answer. And when I finally tried calling James, he picked up on the first ring. "Abigail." His tone was smooth, practiced. "I was just about to call you. Where is my daughter supposed to be right now?" "She's fine. She just needed some air. You know how she gets?" "No, James, I don't." "Why don't you explain it to me?" He sighed, like I was a child asking why the sky was blue. She panicked. "She does that sometimes." I told her to take a walk, clear her head. I didn't realize she'd go that far. She was holding a trash bag. "James, she's dramatic." He said it like it was a diagnosis. "Look, I know this is hard for you to follow. You're not involved in the day-to-day finances, and that's fine. But I've got it under control." There it was. That phrase again. Under control. "What did you resolve?" I asked. "Excuse me?" Hillary said, "You resolved everything." "What exactly did you resolve?" Silence. Then, "Some lease issues, payment schedules, insurance stuff. Nothing you need to worry about." "Then why was she on the street?" "Abigail." His voice dropped, slow and careful. "I think you're confused. Hillary went for a walk. That's all. And honestly, I don't think it helps when you get involved and make her more anxious." I hung up. When I went back to the kitchen, Hillary was still staring at the wall. I sat across from her. "Hillary, did you sign anything recently?" Her eyes flickered. "James said it was routine." "What was routine?" "I don't know. He said not to worry about it." I felt my jaw tighten. When did he say that? Last week? Maybe 2 weeks ago? He brought papers home from the attorney. "Which attorney?" "I don't remember the name." "Did you read them?" She looked at me like I'd asked her to solve a calculus problem. "He said they were standard. He said I didn't need to read every little thing." I leaned forward. "Where are those papers now?" "I don't know." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the conversation. Resolved everything. But Hillary didn't seem resolved. She seemed erased. The next morning, I checked my voicemail. There was one I'd missed yesterday, buried under 2 spam calls. It was from a number I didn't recognize. A woman's voice, brisk and professional. This message is for Hillary Grant. This is Westside. Notary services confirming your appointment for Thursday at 2 p.m. Please bring your ID and any supporting documents referenced in your consultation. If you need to reschedule, call us back. I played it again. Your appointment. Not James's appointment. Hillary's. But Hillary never mentioned an appointment. And Thursday was 3 days ago. I drove to Hillary's house that afternoon. James wasn't home. The driveway was empty except for his car, a silver sedan with tinted windows. I walked around to the passenger side and looked through the glass. There, on the seat, was an envelope. It had a return address I recognized. First Union Bank, the branch on Oakwood. Inside the envelope, barely visible through the flap, was a folded document with a notary seal. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. Because printed across the top, in bold letters, was a single word I couldn't ignore. Transfer. I didn't take the envelope. Not yet. I just stood there in the driveway, staring at that word through the window. Transfer. Transfer of what? And to who? I called Hillary. No answer. I called again. Still, nothing. So I got back in my car and drove to the bank, the one listed on that envelope. First Union, Oakwood branch. The building was small, beige brick, tucked between a Walgreens and a dry cleaner. I'd been there once before, years ago, when Hillary opened her first savings account. Inside, a young man at the front desk asked if I needed help. I'm looking for information about my daughter's account, I said. Hillary Grant. He smiled politely. Are you listed on the account? No, but then, I can't help you. Ma'am? Privacy regulations. I nodded. I expected that. But I didn't leave. Can you at least tell me if there's been any recent activity? Changes to the account? He glanced at his computer, then back at me. I really can't discuss client information without authorization, even if she didn't authorize the changes herself. His smile faltered. Just for a second. Then he recovered. If you have concerns, I'd suggest she come in and speak with a manager. I thanked him and left. But that flicker, that hesitation told me everything. Something had changed. And Hillary didn't know about it. When I got back to my house, Hillary was still on my couch. She'd barely moved since yesterday. I sat down next to her and kept my voice gentle. Hillary, I need you to think back. The last 2 weeks, did James take you anywhere? A notary? A lawyer's office? Anything like that? She blinked slowly. He went to see someone. An attorney, I think? He said it was about updating our insurance. Did you go with him? No. He said it was faster if he went alone. Did he bring papers home? Yeah, a stack of them. He said they were just copies. He said I didn't need to keep them. Where are they now? She shrugged. He threw them out. I think. He said we didn't need clutter. I felt my hands curl into fists. Hillary, did you sign anything? I don't think so. She paused. Maybe. He had me sign something when we were at dinner last week. He said it was for the lease renewal. At dinner? Yeah. At that Italian place on 5th? He handed me a pen and showed me where to sign. I didn't really look at it. My stomach dropped. Did anyone witness it? The waiter brought the check right after. James made a joke about needing a notary at the table. She laughed weakly. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't say anything. I couldn't, because I was starting to see the shape of something deliberate and cold. That night, my phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Abigail Morton? A woman's voice, professional but warm. Yes. This is Ashley Chun. I'm a patient coordinator at Mercy General Hospital. I'm calling because there's been a change to Hillary Grant's emergency contact information, and I wanted to verify it with family. I sat up straighter. What kind of change? Well, she was listed as having you and James Grant as emergency contacts. But as of last Friday, the file shows only James Grant. It's marked as patient requested, But we like to double-check these things when it's a sudden removal. She didn't request that. Silence. Then, are you sure? Positive? Hillary wouldn't remove me? Okay. Ashley's voice shifted. Quieter now. Then, I think someone should come in and review the paperwork. Because the signature on file looks notarized. Notarized. Yes. And dated 3 days ago. 3 days ago. The same week Hillary said James took her to that Italian restaurant. I thanked Ashley and hung up. Then I called Hillary into the room and asked her directly. Did you go to the hospital last week? No. Did you sign anything about emergency contacts? No. Why? Because someone did, and they used your name. Her face went pale. That's not possible. It's possible if someone had your signature, or a copy of your ID. She stared at me. James keeps my ID in his wallet. He says it's safer that way. In case I lose mine. I felt the air leave the room. Hillary, I said slowly. When did he start doing that? I don't know. A few months ago. He said it was easier for errands. I wanted to scream. Instead, I pulled out my phone and opened the browser. What are you doing? Hillary asked. Looking up the name of that attorney James went to. The one about the insurance. I don't remember it. Then, we'll find it. I started searching. Attorney, estate planning, Oakwood area. A dozen names came up. I scrolled past them, looking for anything that matched. Then I saw it. A small ad. Grant and Vesper Legal Services. Real estate. Trusts. Notary on site. I clicked the phone number. It rang twice. Grant and Vesper. How can I help you? I'm calling about a consultation my son-in-law had a few weeks ago. James Grant. One moment. Hold music. Then a man's voice. This is Richard Vesper. How can I assist you? I'm calling on behalf of Hillary Grant. I believe her husband met with you recently. I can't discuss client matters without authorization, even if the client didn't know she was a client. Pause. Ma'am, I'm not sure what you're implying. I'm implying that my daughter's name might be on documents she never saw, and I'd like to know if that's the case. Another pause. Longer this time. If you have concerns about document authenticity, I'd recommend you contact the county clerk's office. They handle deed recordings. Deed recordings? I've said all I can say. Have a good evening. He hung up. I looked at Hillary. Does James own your house? We both do. It's in both our names. Are you sure? Her voice cracked. I think so. I grabbed my keys. We're going to find out. But before I could leave, my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Dylan, from next door to Hillary. We need to talk. Dylan lived 2 houses down from Hillary and James. I'd known him for years. Quiet guy, kept to himself, always waved when he saw me. He worked nights at the post office and mowed his lawn every Saturday like clockwork. I texted him back. When now? Coffee shop on Laurel? I don't want to be seen at your place. That should have been my first warning. I told Hillary to stay put and drove to the coffee shop. Dylan was already there, sitting in the back corner with a cup he hadn't touched. He looked tired. Older than I remembered. Thanks for coming, he said. I sat down. What's this about? He rubbed his face. I wasn't going to say anything. I figured it wasn't my business. But after I saw Hillary yesterday, standing out there like that, he trailed off. I can't keep quiet anymore. Keep quiet about what? About James. He leaned forward, lowering his voice. 3 weeks ago, I saw him leave the house with a file folder. Big one. The kind you get from a lawyer. He was on the phone, and I heard him say something about finalizing the deed before she notices. My blood went cold. Did you hear anything else? He said. She won't ask questions. She never does. Then he laughed. I gripped the edge of the table. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because I thought maybe I misheard. And honestly, I didn't want to get involved. James, as he hesitated. He's not the kind of guy you cross. He's got that way of making you feel like you're the problem. Dylan, my daughter was on the street holding a trash bag. I know. His voice cracked. That's why I'm here. Because I should have said something sooner. What else did you see? Last Tuesday, James had someone over. A guy in a suit. They sat in the driveway for 20 minutes, going over papers. I couldn't see what they were, but James kept pointing at something and nodding. When the guy left, James took the folder inside. Hillary wasn't home. Do you know who the guy was? No, but his car had a parking sticker from that office complex on Pinewood. The one with all the law firms. I pulled out my phone and showed him the name I'd found earlier. Grant and Vesper. Does that sound familiar? Dylan squinted at the screen. Maybe. Yeah, I think that's the building. Did you see James go there? Not personally, but I saw a receipt in his trash once. I wasn't snooping, his been tipped over in the wind, and I helped pick stuff up. It was from a notary service. Same address. I sat back. The pieces were forming a picture I didn't want to see. Dylan, if I asked you to write down everything you just told me, would you? He looked nervous. You mean like a statement? Yes. Will I have to testify or something? I don't know yet. But I need someone to back this up. Because if I'm right, James didn't just resolve things. He erased my daughter from her own life. Dylan nodded slowly. Okay, I'll write it down. Thank you. He stood to leave, then stopped. Abigail, one more thing. What? A few days ago, James came over and asked if I'd seen Hillary. Said she was acting strange. Said she might be having some kind of episode. He asked if I'd noticed anything unusual. What did you say? I said no. But the way he asked it was like he was setting something up. Like he wanted me to agree with him that she was unstable. I felt sick. He's building a narrative. Yeah. Dylan's voice was quiet, and he's good at it. I drove back to my house, my hands shaking on the wheel. When I walked in, Hillary was right where I'd left her. Dylan saw something, I said. She looked up. What? James met with a lawyer. He had papers. He told someone on the phone that he needed to finalize a deed before you noticed. Her face went white. That doesn't make sense. Hillary, where's the deed to your house? In the filing cabinet. In the office. Can you get it? James has the key? Of course he did. I sat down next to her. We're going to figure this out. But I need you to be honest with me. Has James ever made you feel like you couldn't trust your own memory? She didn't answer right away. Then, quietly. Sometimes he tells me I said things I don't remember saying. Or that I agreed to things I don't remember agreeing to. Does he do it in front of other people? Yeah. At his parents' house. At the bank once. He told the teller I'd forgotten my PIN again. But I hadn't. I knew my PIN. He just said it louder than me. And the teller believed him. Everyone believes him. I reached for her hand. I don't. That night, I got another text. This time from Ashley, the hospital coordinator. I pulled the file. The signature doesn't match. Thought you should know. I stared at the screen. If the signature didn't match, that meant someone forged it. And if someone forged it, that meant this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a plan. And James had been running it for weeks. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that envelope in James's car. That single word, transfer. At 6 a.m., I gave up and made coffee. Hillary was still asleep on the couch, curled under a blanket I'd given her. She looked small, younger than 42, like the girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. I grabbed my keys and drove back to her house. The driveway was empty. James's car was gone. I didn't know where he went, and I didn't care. I just needed to see that envelope again. I tried the car door. Locked. Of course, but the garage side door was open. It always stuck, never latched right. I slipped inside and moved to the sedan. The envelope was still there on the passenger seat, exactly where I'd seen it 2 days ago. I pulled out my phone and took a picture through the window. Then I tried the door again. Still locked. I stood there for a long moment, weighing my options. Then I went back into the house, through the garage. The office was at the end of the hall. The filing cabinet sat in the corner, exactly where Hillary said it would be. I tried the drawer. Locked. I searched the desk. Nothing. The top shelf. Nothing. Then I checked the ceramic dish on the bookshelf, the one where Hillary used to keep spare change. The key was underneath. I unlocked the cabinet and pulled open the top drawer. Insurance papers, old tax returns, a folder labeled medical records, another labeled warranty info. Then, at the back, a folder with no label. I opened it. Inside were copies, dozens of them, notarized documents, signatures, dates, and a sticky note in handwriting I didn't recognize. Final copies to county clerk by 12/18. That was 6 days ago. I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures. Every page, every signature, every date stamp. One document caught my eye. A quitclaim deed. Hillary's name was on it, transferring her interest in the property to James Grant, sole owner, signed and notarized on December 10th. Hillary was with me on December 10th. We'd gone to lunch. She never left my sight. I kept scrolling through the papers. There was another one, a change of beneficiary form for life insurance. Hillary's signature again. Dated December 12th was the day she called me crying because James had yelled at her for burning toast. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. I heard a noise outside. A car door. I shoved the folder back into the cabinet, locked it, and slipped the key back under the dish. Then I moved to the window. James's car was pulling into the driveway. I didn't have time to leave through the garage. I'd be seen. So I did, the only thing I could think of. Evie walked straight out the front door like I had every right to be there. James was halfway up the driveway when he saw me. "Abigail?" His voice was calm. Too calm. "What are you doing here?" "Checking on my daughter's house." "She's not here?" "I know. She's with me." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "That's nice of you. But she really should come home." "I'm worried about her, are you?" "Of course." He stepped closer. "She hasn't been herself lately. I think she needs rest. Stability." "Stability," I repeated. "Is that what you call it?" His smile faded. "I don't know what you're implying, but I'm not implying anything, James. I'm saying it. You've been moving things around behind her back. Papers? Accounts her name. That's absurd." "Is it? Because I just saw a quitclaim deed with her signature on it? Dated a day she was with me?" His face didn't change. Not a flicker. "I don't know what you think you saw, but you're mistaken, am I?" "Yes." He took another step forward. "And frankly, Abigail, I think you're confused. You're what, 66. It's easy to misread dates at your age." There it was. The thing Dylan warned me about. I met his eyes. "I'm sick, and I can read just fine. Can you?" His tone shifted, softer now, patronizing. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're stirring up trouble over nothing. Hillary signed those papers herself. She just doesn't remember. She forgets things." "She doesn't forget. She does." He said it like he was comforting a child. "And I think you're making it worse by putting ideas in her head. She trusts you. And you're confusing her." I wanted to scream. Instead, I kept my voice level. "If she signed them, why didn't you tell her?" "I did." "She says you didn't. Then she forgot." He shrugged. "It happens." "Not like this." He tilted his head. "Abigail, I'm trying to be patient here. But you're overstepping. Hillary is my wife. I take care of her. And if you keep interfering, I'll have no choice but to limit your access to her. For her own good. You can't do that. I can if she's not competent to make decisions." He let that hang in the air. "And between you and me, I'm starting to think she's not." I felt my stomach turn. You're trying to make her look unstable. I'm documenting reality. His voice was ice now. And if you keep pushing this, I'll document you too. He walked past me into the house and closed the door. I stood there, shaking, staring at the wood grain. Then I got in my car and drove straight to the bank. This time, I didn't ask politely. I walked up to the desk and said, "I need to speak to a manager. Now." The young man from yesterday appeared. "Ma'am, I already told you I know what you told me. But my daughter's account was changed without her knowledge. And I have proof." He hesitated. Then he picked up the phone. 5 minutes later, a woman in a gray blazer came out. "I'm Karen Lyle, branch manager. How can I help?" I pulled out my phone and showed her the photos. These documents were notarized and filed without my daughter's knowledge. And I need to know who authorized the changes to her account. Karen studied the screen. Her expression shifted. "Can you send these to me?" "Why?" "Because if what you're saying is true, we have a problem." Karen took me into a small office at the back of the branch. The walls were beige, the desk was metal, and there was a poster about fraud prevention hanging crooked behind her chair. She closed the door and sat down. "Before we go further, I need to verify your relationship to the account holder. I'm her mother. That doesn't give you legal access to her account information." "I know. But if fraud's involved, doesn't that change things?" Karen's jaw tightened. "It changes what I'm required to report. But I still can't share details without authorization." I pulled out my phone and called Hillary. She answered on the second ring. "Mom? Hillary? I'm at First Union with the branch manager. I need you to give verbal authorization for her to discuss your account with me. Can you do that?" Silence. Hillary. "Yes." "Okay. Put her on." I handed the phone to Karen. She asked Hillary her full name, date of birth, and the last 4 of her social. Then she handed it back. "Okay," Karen said. "Let me pull up the account." She typed for a moment, her face unreadable. Then she stopped. "When did you say these changes were made?" "The paperwork is dated December 10th through 12th. Karen scrolled. "There was a request submitted on December 8th. It came through our notary services portal. The instructions were to remove Hillary Grant's access and transfer primary control to James Grant. But Hillary didn't request that. According to our records, she did. There's a notarized signature on file. Can I see it?" Karen hesitated. Then she turned the screen toward me. The signature looked like Hillary's. Almost. But the loop on the G was wrong. Too wide. And the tail on the Y didn't curl the way Hillary's always did. "That's not her signature," I said. "Are you sure?" "Positive. My daughter's been signing her name the same way for 40 years. "That's close, but it's not hers." Karen pulled the screen back and stared at it. "If that's true, this is forgery." "It is true." "Then we have a serious problem." She picked up the phone. "I need to flag this account and contact our fraud department." "How long will that take?" "A few days? Maybe a week?" "A week?" My voice rose. "She doesn't have a week. She's already been locked out of her own life." "I understand. But there's a process. The process is too slow." I leaned forward. "He's been planning this for weeks. He's got papers filed with the county. He's changed her emergency contacts at the hospital. He's isolated her. And now you're telling me she has to wait while he finishes?" Karen looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, quietly, "What do you need from me?" "Copies. I need copies of everything. The request form, the notarized signature, the account logs, all of it. I can't just..." "Yes, you can. If there's suspected fraud, you're allowed to provide documentation to the victim. Hillary's the victim. I'm acting on her behalf." Karen exhaled. "Give me 10 minutes." She left the office. I sat there, staring at the fraud prevention poster. Protect yourself. Verify before you sign. Hillary had trusted. That's what she'd done wrong. She'd trusted her husband. Karen came back with a folder. "These are copies. Everything we have on file. If you take this to an attorney, they'll know what to do. Thank you. One more thing. She lowered her voice. The request came with a letter from an attorney, Grant and Vesper. It stated that Hillary Grant was experiencing memory issues and that James Grant needed to assume financial responsibility for her care. I felt like I'd been punched. She doesn't have memory issues. I know, but the letter made it sound official. We're required to act on documented requests from legal counsel, even if they're lies. We don't investigate the claims. We process the paperwork. I stood up. Then your system's broken. I know, Karen said. I'm sorry. I drove back to my house with the folder on the passenger seat. Every red light felt like an hour. Every stop sign felt like a trap. When I got home, Hillary was awake. She was sitting at the kitchen table, staring at her phone. Mom, James has been texting me. My stomach dropped. What's he saying? He says I need to come home. He says you're filling my head with paranoia. He says if I don't come back today, he's going to file a wellness check. A wellness check. He says I'm not stable, that I need help. I set the folder down on the table. Hillary, he's lying. He's been lying the whole time. I know. Her voice cracked. But what if people believe him? What if they think I'm crazy? They won't. Because we have proof. I opened the folder and spread the documents out in front of her. The forged signature. The account transfer. The letter from Grant and Vesper claiming she had memory issues. Hillary stared at them. Her hands started to shake. He wrote this, she whispered, pointing at the letter. He told people I'm not competent. Yes. Why? Because if you're not competent, he controls everything. The house, the money, the decisions, all of it. She covered her mouth. Oh my God. Hillary, listen to me. He's been building a case. He's made you look unstable so that no one questions him. And it's worked. The bank believed him. The hospital believed him. Even Dylan almost believed him. What do? We fight back. But we do it smart. She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. How? We get a lawyer. We document everything. And we make sure that every lie he's told gets exposed. My phone buzzed. A text from Ashley at the hospital. I checked with our records department. The notary who signed off on Hillary's contact change? Same person who notarized the bank documents. Westside Notary Services? Thought you should know. I showed Hillary the text. He used the same notary, I said. That means there's a paper trail. And if there's a trail, we can follow it. Hillary wiped her eyes. What if he's already ahead of us? Then we catch up. I grabbed my laptop and searched for Westside Notary Services. Their website came up immediately. A small office on the north side of town. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I called the number. A woman answered. Westside Notary. This is Linda. Hi, Linda. My name is Abigail Morton. I'm calling about some documents that were notarized at your office earlier this month. Okay? Do you have a case number or a name? Hillary Grant. Typing sounds. Then, yes, I see that. December 10th and 12th. What do you need? I need to know who brought those documents in. I'm sorry, I can't share that information. Even if the signatures were forged. Silence. Ma'am, if you're alleging fraud, you need to file a police report. I will. But I need to know who submitted them first. I really can't. Please. My voice broke. My daughter is being erased. And whoever came into your office helped do it. Linda didn't say anything for a long moment. Then quietly, it was a man. Tall, mid-40s. He said his wife couldn't make it and that he had power of attorney. Did he show you the power of attorney? Yes. It looked legitimate. Was his name James Grant? Another pause. Yes. I closed my eyes. Thank you. I hung up and looked at Hillary. He told them he had power of attorney. But he doesn't, Hillary said. I know. Which means he forged that too. Hillary's phone buzzed. Another text from James. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Come home, we'll talk. I promise. She stared at it. Then she deleted it. I'm not going back, she said. Good. What's next? I picked up the folder. We go to the county clerk. We find out what else he's filed. And then we stop him. The county clerk's office smelled like old paper and industrial cleaner. We stood at the front counter while a woman with reading glasses checked her computer. What name am I searching? She asked. Hillary Grant? And James Grant. Her fingers moved across the keyboard. Then she stopped. There are 3 filings under those names in the last 30 days. My chest tightened. Can we see them? They're public record. Give me a minute. She disappeared into a back room. Hillary stood next to me, pale and silent. I reached for her hand. Whatever we find, we'll handle it, I said. She nodded, but didn't speak. The clerk came back with a folder. Here. You can review them at that table. We sat down and opened the folder. The first document was the quitclaim deed. Hillary's signature transferring her share of the house to James, filed December 14th, 2 days after it was supposedly signed. The second was a change of beneficiary for their joint life insurance policy, filed December 15th. The third made my blood run cold. It was a durable power of attorney, effective immediately, giving James Grant full authority to make financial and medical decisions on behalf of Hillary Grant due to cognitive decline and inability to manage personal affairs. Hillary stared at it. I never signed this. I never signed this. I know. Mom, this says he can make medical decisions for me. That means if something happened to you, he'd be the only one allowed in the room. Her face crumpled. He planned this. All of it. Yes. Why, I didn't have an answer. Not one that made sense. Not one that didn't sound like something out of a nightmare. The clerk walked over. Finding what you need. Unfortunately, yes. I pointed at the power of attorney. Is there any way to verify if this signature is legitimate? We don't verify. We just file what's submitted. If you suspect forgery, you'd need to challenge it through an attorney. What if we can prove she didn't sign it? Then you'd file a motion to void it. But that takes time. And until it's voided, it's legally binding. Hillary looked at me, panic in her eyes. What if something happens to me before we can stop it? Nothing's going to happen to you. But what if it does? What if I get in an accident? Or get sick? He'd control everything. Then we don't let that happen. I stood up. We need to talk to a lawyer. Today, we left the clerk's office and drove straight to the address Dylan had mentioned, the office complex on Pinewood, where James had met with the man in the suit. There were 5 law firms in the building. I started at the top floor and worked my way down, asking the same question at each reception desk. Does James Grant have an appointment here? 4 firms said no. The 5th hesitated. I can't disclose client information, the receptionist said. I'm not asking for information. I'm asking if he's a client. She glanced at her computer. I really shouldn't, please. My daughter's life is being taken apart, and I think your firm is helping him do it. She bit her lip. Then, quietly, he had a consultation 3 weeks ago. With Mr. Brennan. But I can't tell you what it was about. Can I speak to Mr. Brennan? He's in a meeting. I'll wait. We sat in the lobby for 40 minutes. Hillary kept checking her phone. James had stopped texting. That worried me more than the texts had. Finally, a man in a navy suit came out. I'm Todd Brennan. My receptionist said you wanted to speak with me. I stood up. My name is Abigail Morton. This is my daughter, Hillary Grant. I believe her husband consulted with you recently. His expression stayed neutral. I can't discuss client matters. Not even if the client lied to you. That got his attention. Excuse me. James Grant came to you for legal advice. I'm guessing he told you his wife was incompetent, that she needed help managing her affairs. Am I right? Brennan's jaw tightened. I'm not confirming or denying he forged her signature. On a quitclaim deed. On a power of attorney. On bank documents. And he used your consultation to make it look legitimate. Brennan looked at Hillary. Is this true? Yes, she whispered. He exhaled slowly. Come into my office. We followed him down a hall into a corner office with a view of the parking lot. He closed the door and gestured for us to sit. If what you're saying is accurate, I need to see proof. I pulled out my phone and showed him the photos. The forged signatures. The dates Hillary was with me. The timeline that didn't add up. Brennan studied each image. His face darkened. He told me his wife was experiencing early onset dementia, he said. He said he needed to protect their assets before she became incapable of understanding financial decisions. She doesn't have dementia, I said. I can see that now. He looked at Hillary. Did you authorize any of this? No. Did you give him power of attorney? No. Did you transfer your share of the house? No. Brennan leaned back in his chair. Then he committed fraud. And he used my advice to do it. What did you tell him? I asked. I explained the process for obtaining guardianship if a spouse is truly incapacitated. I told him he'd need medical documentation. Proof of incompetence. He said he'd get it. He didn't get it, I said. He fabricated it. Brennan rubbed his face. I should have asked more questions. You trusted him, Hillary said quietly. That's what I did too. He looked at her. I'm sorry. If I'd known you couldn't have. She wiped her eyes. He's good at this. Brennan opened a drawer and pulled out a business card. This is a colleague of mine. Specializes in family law and elder abuse. You need to call her today. Elder abuse. Hillary frowned. I'm 42. Financial abuse doesn't have an age limit. And what he's done to you and what he tried to do to your mother, that's textbook coercive control. I took the card, thank you. One more thing. Brennan's voice was firm. File a police report. Today. Because if he's willing to forge documents, he's willing to do worse. We left his office and sat in my car. Hillary stared out the window. Mom, what if no one believes me? They will. We have proof, but he's already convinced the bank, the hospital, that lawyer. What if the police think I'm overreacting too? Then we make them listen. My phone buzzed. A text from Ashley. Update. Hospital legal reviewed the file. They're flagging it as suspected fraud. Someone will call you. I showed Hillary. See? People are starting to listen. She nodded, but I could see the fear in her eyes. Because we both knew what came next. We had to confront James. Not with words, with the law. The police station was cold and too bright. We sat in a waiting area with plastic chairs bolted to the floor while an officer reviewed the documents we'd brought. His name was Officer Dalton. Mid-50s, graying hair, the kind of face that had seen too much and stopped being surprised by anything. He flipped through the pages slowly. Then he looked at Hillary. And you're saying you never signed any of these? No, sir, I didn't. Not the deed, not the power of attorney, none of it. No, he set the papers down. Here's the problem. These signatures look pretty close to yours. A handwriting expert might be able to tell the difference, but that takes time. And money. We have proof she couldn't have signed them, I said. She was with me on 2 of those dates. Can anyone else verify that? I hesitated. We were alone, at lunch, at my house. Dalton nodded slowly. So, it's your word. It's the truth. I believe you. But a defense attorney's going to tear that apart. They'll say you're covering for her, or that you misremembered the dates. Hillary's voice was barely a whisper. So there's nothing you can do? I didn't say that. Dalton leaned forward. I'm saying this is complicated. Forgery cases involving spouses are hard to prove, especially when the documents look legitimate and were filed through proper channels. But he lied, I said. He told people she was incompetent. He isolated her. He took her off emergency contacts without her knowledge. I understand. And that's all evidence of a pattern. But to arrest him, I need something concrete. Something that proves intent. What about the notary? Hillary asked. The woman at Westside Notary said James came in, claiming he had power of attorney. But he didn't have it yet. That's fraud, isn't it? Dalton's eyebrows lifted. That's good. Did she put that in writing? No. She just told me over the phone. We'll need a statement from her. If she's willing to go on record saying he misrepresented himself, that strengthens the case. I'll get it, I said. Dalton handed the papers back. File a report. I'll document everything. But I'm going to be honest with you, cases like this take time. And in the meantime, he still has legal authority under those documents, even though they're fake. Until a judge says they're fake. Yes. Hillary looked like she might be sick. What do I do? She asked. Just wait for him to use that power of attorney. Wait until he makes a decision I can't undo. No. Dalton's voice softened. You get a restraining order. You file a motion to void those documents? And you stay away from him until this gets sorted out. A restraining order? Hillary's hands were shaking. That feels so necessary, I finished. It's necessary. Dalton stood. There's a family court liaison down the hall. She can help you file. Do it today. We spent the next 3 hours filling out forms. Hillary had to write down every instance of James's behavior she could remember. Every time he told her she'd forgotten something. Every time he made a decision without her. Every time he dismissed her concerns as paranoia. It was exhausting and humiliating because she had to admit, on paper, that she'd let it happen. I should have seen it, she said, staring at the form. I should have known. He made sure you didn't. But I'm not stupid, Mom. How did I not notice? Because he was careful. And because you trusted him. She looked up at me, tears streaming. I feel like an idiot. You're not. You're a victim. There's a difference. By the time we finished, it was nearly 5. The liaison handed Hillary a temporary restraining order, good for 14 days. He'll be served tomorrow, she said. After that, he's not allowed to contact you or come within 500 feet. What if he does? Hillary asked. You call the police. Immediately. We drove back to my house in silence. When we pulled into the driveway, Hillary's phone buzzed. James, we need to talk. This is getting out of hand. She stared at it. Then she blocked the number. Good, I said. He's going to be so angry. Let him be angry. You don't understand. When he gets angry, Hillary, I turned to face her. He doesn't get to be angry. He lost that right when he forged your name. She nodded, but I could see the fear. That night, Ashley called. I wanted to give you an update, she said. Our legal team reviewed everything. They're removing James as Hillary's emergency contact and flagging the account for suspected fraud. Thank you. There's something else. When I pulled the paperwork, I found another document, a DNR. My heart stopped. A do not resuscitate order. Yes, filed 2 weeks ago. With Hillary's signature. I looked at Hillary, who was sitting across from me. Did you sign a DNR? Her face went white. No. Why would I? I put the phone on speaker. Ashley, she didn't sign it. I didn't think so. The date on the form was December 9th. I checked our visitor logs. Hillary wasn't here that day. But James was. Hillary covered her mouth. Oh my God! He signed a DNR in your name, I said slowly. Why would he do that? Ashley's voice was quiet. I don't know. But if something had happened to her, if she'd been in an accident or had a medical emergency, we would have followed that order. Meaning you wouldn't have tried to save her. Correct. Hillary stood up and ran to the bathroom. I heard her getting sick. Ashley spoke again. I'm flagging this with the state medical board. This isn't just fraud. This is attempted murder. I finished? I can't say that. But it's close. I thanked her and hung up. Then I went to the bathroom and held Hillary's hair while she cried. He wanted me gone, she whispered. He wanted me dead. We don't know that. Yes, we do. He took everything else. Why stop there? I didn't have an answer. Because she was right. James hadn't just stolen her identity. He'd erased her future. And if we hadn't noticed, if I hadn't found that envelope in his car, he might have gotten away with it. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You think you're helping her? You're not. Stay out of this. I showed it to Hillary. That's him, she said. That's his other phone. The one he uses for work. How many phones does he have? 2? Maybe 3. I stared at the message. Then I screenshotted it and sent it to Officer Dalton. Add this to the file. He responded immediately. Got it. And tell Hillary to stay vigilant. Men like him don't back down easy. I turned off my phone and sat next to Hillary on the bathroom floor. We're going to stop him, I said. How? By not giving up. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I'm so tired. I know, but we're almost there. Are we? I didn't answer. Because the truth was, I didn't know how much further we had to go. I just knew we couldn't stop now. The restraining order was served at 9 a.m. the next morning. I know because James called me from a blocked number at 9:17. I didn't answer. He called again and again. By the 4th call, I picked up. Stop calling me. James, you did this. His voice was tight, controlled. You turned her against me. I didn't turn her against anyone. I showed her the truth. The truth? He laughed, sharp and bitter. The truth is that Hillary's not well. She hasn't been for months. And instead of helping her, you're making it worse. She's perfectly fine. Is she? Because from where I'm standing, she's homeless, sleeping on your couch, refusing to come home. That sounds unstable to me. She's not homeless. She's safe. Safe from what? From you. Silence. Then his voice dropped lower. You have no idea what you've done, Abigail. No idea. I know exactly what I've done. I stopped you. You think you stopped me? He laughed again. You really don't get it, do you? Those documents are filed, notarized, legal. A restraining order doesn't undo that. A judge will. Good luck with that. Because by the time you get in front of a judge, I'll have medical records showing that Hillary's been experiencing confusion and memory loss for over a year. I'll have statements from people who've witnessed it. And I'll have a lawyer who'll make you look like a meddling old woman who can't accept that her daughter needs help. My hands were shaking. You're lying. Am I? Ask yourself this. Who's going to believe you? An elderly woman with a grudge? Or a concerned husband trying to protect his wife? He hung up. I stood there, staring at the phone. Hillary came into the room. What did he say? He said he has medical records. Statements from witnesses. He's building a case to prove you're incompetent. Her face crumpled. But I'm not. I know. But he's convincing people you are. How do we fight that? We get our own evidence. Starting with your doctor. We drove to Hillary's primary care physician's office. Dr. Patel had been her doctor for 6 years. If anyone could confirm Hillary was mentally sound, it was her. The receptionist made us wait 20 minutes. When Dr. Patel finally came out, she looked uncomfortable. Hillary, it's good to see you. How can I help? I need documentation, Hillary said. Proof that I don't have dementia or memory issues. Dr. Patel blinked. I'm sorry, what? My husband's been telling people I'm incompetent. I need you to confirm I'm not. Of course you're not. I've never seen any signs of cognitive decline. Can you put that in writing? Dr. Patel hesitated. I can, but Hillary, I should tell you James was here last week. He requested copies of your medical records. My stomach dropped. Did you give them to him? He's listed as your spouse. Legally, I had to. What records did he take? Hillary asked. Everything. Your full file. Why would he need that? Dr. Patel looked down. He said he was concerned about your mental health. He asked if I'd noticed any changes in your behavior. And what did you say? I said no. You've always been clear and coherent in our appointments. Did he ask you to write that down? No. He asked if I'd be willing to testify that you'd been forgetful. Hillary's face went pale, and I told him I couldn't testify to something I hadn't observed. He didn't seem happy about that. I leaned forward. Dr. Patel, if James tries to use Hillary's medical records against her, will you stand by what you just said? Absolutely. Even in court. Yes. Relief washed over me. Thank you. We left the office with a signed letter from Dr. Patel confirming Hillary's mental competence. It wasn't much, but it was something. That afternoon, I got a call from Linda at Westside Notary Services. Ms. Morton, I've been thinking about our conversation. About the documents James Grant brought in. Yes. I went back through our files, and I found something. What? The power of attorney he showed me, the one he claimed gave him authority to sign for Hillary, it was dated December 7th. Okay. But the documents I notarized for him were dated December 10th and 12th. I didn't understand at first. Then it clicked. He backdated the power of attorney. That's what it looks like. And if he did, that means everything I notarized was based on a fraudulent document. Will you put that in writing? I already did. I'm sending it to the police. Thank you, Linda. I feel terrible. If I'd looked closer, you couldn't have known. He's been fooling people for weeks. When I hung up, I turned to Hillary. We're getting there. Piece by piece. That evening, Dylan called. I wrote down everything I saw, he said. Dates. Times. What James said. I'm emailing it to you now. Thank you. There's one more thing. Yesterday, James came by my house. My pulse quickened. What did he want? He asked if I'd talk to you. I said no. Then he asked if I'd be willing to make a statement about Hillary's behavior. He said she'd been acting erratic and that he needed witnesses. What did you tell him? I told him I hadn't noticed anything. He didn't like that. Did he threaten you? Not directly. But he said people who get involved in other people's marriages usually regret it. I felt a chill run down my spine. Dylan, if he comes back, don't answer the door and call the police. I will. After I hung up, I looked at Hillary. She was sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. He's trying to scare people, I said. It's working. Not on everyone. Dr. Patel stood up for you. Linda did too. And Dylan? But how many people believed him before they stood up? How many still believe him? I didn't have an answer. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what James had said. By the time you get in front of a judge, I'll have everything I need. He was building a narrative, and we were racing to dismantle it. The question was, who would finish first? The hearing was set for Friday morning, 3 days away. I spent those days making copies of everything. The forged signatures, the bank statements, Dr. Patel's letter, Linda's statement, Dylan's written account, Ashley's documentation from the hospital, every single piece of evidence we'd gathered. Hillary barely slept. She'd wake up at 2, 3 in the morning, pacing my living room. What if the judge believes him? She'd ask. They won't. But what if they do? I didn't have a good answer. Because judges were human. And James was convincing. On Thursday night, Karen from the bank called. I wanted to give you an update before tomorrow. Our fraud investigation is complete. And the signatures don't match. We compared them to Hillary's signature card from when she opened the account. It's close, but it's not hers. We're reversing the account changes and flagging James Grant in our system. I closed my eyes. Thank you. There's more. We found evidence he'd been transferring money out of their joint account into a separate account under only his name. Small amounts over several months. He was careful, but it's there. How much? Just over $40,000? Hillary was standing next to me. I put the phone on speaker so she could hear. 40,000. Her voice cracked. That was my inheritance. From my dad. Karen's tone softened. I'm sorry, but this helps your case. Financial abuse is taken very seriously. When we hung up, Hillary sat down hard on the couch. He stole from me. He forged my name. He tried to have me declared incompetent. And for what? Money. Control, I said. It was always about control. Friday morning came too fast. We arrived at the courthouse at 8:30. The hallways smelled like floor polish and old wood. Our attorney, the one Todd Brennan had recommended, met us at the entrance. Her name was Rachel Odom. Late 40s, sharp eyes, no-nonsense demeanor. How are you holding up? She asked Hillary. Terrified. Good. That means you understand what's at stake. Rachel handed us a folder. I've reviewed everything. The evidence is strong. But James will have his own attorney, and they'll try to paint you as unstable. Don't react. Don't engage. Just answer the questions clearly and calmly. What if I can't? You will. Because the alternative is letting him win. We walked into the courtroom. It was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, American flag in the corner. James was already there, sitting with his attorney, a man in an expensive suit who looked like he'd never lost a case. James didn't look at us. He stared straight ahead, his jaw tight. The judge entered. Everyone stood. Be seated, she said. Her nameplate read Judge Margaret Rivera. 60-something, silver hair pulled back. The kind of face that had heard every lie imaginable. Rachel presented our case first. She laid out the timeline, the forged documents, the stolen money, the fake deal, the medical records James had requested without Hillary's knowledge. Your Honor, this isn't a case of miscommunication or marital discord. This is a systematic campaign to isolate and control Ms. Grant. And the evidence supports that. James's attorney stood. His name was Parker something? I didn't catch the last name. Your Honor, my client acted out of love and concern. Ms. Grant has been exhibiting signs of memory loss and confusion for months. Mr. Grant was simply trying to protect their assets and ensure she received proper care. Do you have medical documentation of this alleged memory loss? Judge Rivera asked. We have testimony from friends and family who've witnessed concerning behavior. I didn't ask for testimony. I asked for medical documentation. Parker hesitated. We're working on obtaining that. So you don't have it? Not yet, Your Honor. But then sit down. I watched James's face. For the first time, a crack appeared in his composure. Judge Rivera looked at Hillary. Ms. Grant, did you sign the documents in question? No, Your Honor. Did you authorize your husband to sign them on your behalf? No. Were you aware he was transferring money from your joint account? No. Did you request that a DNR be filed at Mercy General Hospital? Hillary's voice shook. Absolutely not. Judge Rivera turned to James. Mr. Grant, did you sign your wife's name to these documents? James's attorney leaned over and whispered something to him. James shook his head. I acted in her best interest, he said finally. That's not what I asked. Did you sign her name? Silence. Mr. Grant, I'll ask one more time. Did you forge your wife's signature? I had power of attorney. No, you didn't. The power of attorney you claim to have held was dated December 7th. But Ms. Grant's signature on that document has also been flagged as fraudulent. So I'll ask again. Did you forge her signature? James looked at his attorney. Parker stood. Your Honor, my client wishes to invoke his Fifth Amendment right. Judge Rivera's expression didn't change, but I saw something flash in her eyes. Disgust, maybe, or just exhaustion at men like James. Noted? She looked at Rachel. Counselor, what are you requesting? Full voiding of all contested documents? Restoration of Ms. Grant's rights and access to all accounts. a protective order preventing Mr. Grant from accessing or altering any further records, and a full forensic audit of their finances. Granted. James's attorney stood. Your Honor, we'd like to request, sit down, Mr. Parker, we're done here. Judge Rivera signed the order and handed it to the clerk. Then she looked directly at James. Mr. Grant, if you come within 500 feet of your wife, you'll be arrested. If you attempt to contact her in any way, you'll be arrested. And if I find out you've tried to manipulate another document with her name on it, I'll hold you in contempt. Do you understand? James's jaw clenched. Yes. Good. Because men like you rely on people not noticing. But she noticed. And now you're done. The gavel came down. We walked out of the courtroom in silence. When we reached the hallway, Hillary stopped and burst into tears. It's over, she whispered. It's over, I said. Rachel put a hand on Hillary's shoulder. The order's effective immediately. The bank's already been notified. The hospital, too. By this afternoon, everything will be back in your name. What about the house? Hillary asked. We'll file to reverse the quitclaim deed. It'll take a few weeks, but it'll happen. Hillary nodded, wiping her eyes. We walked outside. The sun was too bright, the air too cold. But for the first time in weeks, I could breathe. My phone buzzed. A text from Ashley. Heard the news? I'm so glad. You both did the right thing. I showed it to Hillary. She smiled, small but real. We did, didn't we? Yeah, I said. We did. 2 weeks later, Hillary moved into a small apartment on the east side of town. 1 bedroom, clean carpet, a kitchen window that faced the sunrise. It wasn't much, but it was hers. I helped her unpack boxers. She didn't have a lot. James had kept most of their things, and she didn't want them anyway. She said they felt contaminated. Like everything he'd touched carried the weight of his lies. I'm starting over, she said, folding a dish towel. At 42, there's no age limit on starting over. I know. It just feels strange. Like I lost years. You didn't lose them. You survived them. She looked at me. I don't think I could have done this without you. Yes, you could have. You just didn't have to. The forensic audit came back a week later. James had taken over $63,000 from their joint accounts over 18 months. Small transfers, carefully timed, always just under the threshold that would trigger automatic alerts. He'd been planning this longer than any of us realized. The district attorney filed charges: forgery, identity theft, financial exploitation. James hired a new lawyer, a Bedouin, and tried to negotiate a plea. But the evidence was overwhelming. The forged signatures, the fake deed, the stolen money, Linda's statement, Dr. Patel's testimony, Dylan's account, all of it pointed to the same conclusion. This was deliberate, calculated, and cruel. The case didn't go to trial. James pled guilty to 3 counts of forgery and 1 count of financial exploitation. The judge sentenced him to 18 months, with credit for time served and the possibility of parole after 9. Hillary didn't go to the sentencing. She said she didn't need to see him anymore. Didn't need closure from a courtroom. She'd already found it the day Judge Rivera voided those documents. I spent so long thinking I was the problem, she told me one afternoon. We were sitting on her new couch, drinking tea, that I was too trusting, too naive, that I should have known. You weren't the problem. I know that now, but it took me a long time to believe it. That's normal, is it? Yes, because abusers make you doubt yourself. That's how they keep control. They make you think you're confused, paranoid, wrong, and after a while, you start to believe it. She set her cup down. How did you know not to believe it? Because I know you, and I know what you look like when you're confused. And that wasn't it. What was it? You were scared, and trying not to show it. She nodded slowly. I was terrified. Every day. I kept thinking, what if he's right? What if I am losing my memory? What if I really can't manage things on my own? But you can. I can now, because you didn't let him convince you otherwise. A month after the sentencing, Hillary got a letter from the hospital. It was an apology, formal, carefully worded, written by someone in legal who'd never met her. But it acknowledged that protocols had failed, that a forged DNR had been entered into her file without proper verification, that changes to her emergency contact should have required direct confirmation from her, not just notarized paperwork. They're updating their policies, she said, reading the letter aloud. Because of what happened to me. Good. It feels weird. Like something good came out of something awful. That's how change happens. Someone gets hurt, and then the system gets better so the next person doesn't. She folded the letter and set it on the table. Do you think he ever loved me? I didn't answer right away, because the truth was complicated. Maybe James had loved her once, in whatever broken way he was capable of. Or maybe he'd only ever loved the idea of her someone he could shape and control. I don't know, I said finally. But I know it doesn't matter. Why not? Because love doesn't justify what he did, and it doesn't change what you deserve, which is dignity, safety, a life where you're not walking on eggshells. She smiled, small and sad. I'm working on it. I know you are. That spring, Hillary started volunteering at a women's shelter downtown. She didn't talk about her story much, but when she did, people listened. Because she understood what it felt like to be told you were imagining things. To have your reality rewritten by someone who claimed to love you. I don't want anyone to go through what I went through, she told me one evening. And if sharing my story helps even one person recognize the signs earlier, then it was worth it. You're brave, I said. No, I'm just tired of being quiet. I still think about that day I saw her standing on the corner, holding a trash bag. How small she looked. How lost. And I think about what would have happened if I'd driven past without stopping. If I'd believed James when he said she was confused. If I'd decided it wasn't my place to interfere. She would have disappeared. Not physically, maybe, but legally, financially, medically. Her name would have been erased from documents, replaced by his. Her voice would have been drowned out by his version of events. And eventually, people would have stopped listening to her altogether. That's how it works. That's how people vanish in plain sight. But she didn't vanish. Because someone noticed. And someone cared enough to dig deeper. One afternoon, Hillary called me. Mom, I got the deed. The house is back in my name. Are you going to sell it? Yeah. I can't live there. Too many bad memories. That makes sense. But I was thinking, maybe I'll use the money to go back to school, finish my degree. I always wanted to. You should. You think? Absolutely. What if I fail? Then you try again. But you won't fail. Because you're stronger than you think. She laughed, soft and genuine. You always say that. Because it's always true. We hung up, and I sat in my kitchen, staring at the wall. Thinking about all the small moments that had led to this. The voicemail I almost deleted. The envelope I almost ignored. The bank manager who decided to listen. The notary who checked her files. The neighbor who finally spoke up. None of it was dramatic. None of it was heroic. It was just people paying attention. People choosing to believe a woman when she said something was wrong. And sometimes, that's all it takes. If you're reading this, or listening, maybe you recognize something in Hillary's story. Maybe you've felt that knot in your stomach when someone tells you you're remembering things wrong. Maybe you've wondered if you're overreacting, or if the person you love is just trying to help. Trust that knot. Trust that feeling. Because the people who truly care about you don't make you doubt yourself. They don't take your voice away, piece by piece, until you're not sure what's real anymore. They stand beside you. They believe you. They help you find your way back. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And if you've ever lived through something like this, or helped someone who has, love to hear your story. Because these stories matter. And the more we share them, the harder it becomes for people like James to operate in the shadows. You're not alone. You're not confused. And you're not imagining it. You're seeing the truth. And that's the most powerful thing you can do.